Hey y'all, welcome back to After the Snap. And this is a midweek meltdown, which is something that I haven't done in a whole heck of a long time. But because we got some things to talk about that are not central to Star Trek, I just said let's call it something different so people won't get the impression that all I'm talking about is Star Trek today. We got a lot of news that has occurred in the last few days, and I think we want to touch on quite a bit of it. We don't want to just talk about the big Star Trek news, which I'm excited to talk about some Star Trek stuff because we've got some casting announcements for what's the name of the Section 31 movie starring Michelle Yeoh. Is there really anything that isn't central to start? Everything comes back. I guess like when you start doing that whole 6 degrees of separation, Star Trek comes up somewhere, right? So yeah, this entire stream will not be about Star Trek, but our top story will. But before I get into that top story, there was something else. You know what? Let's get into the presentation that we got, and we can talk about other stuff as we move along. Now, I don't have a whole bunch of slides. You guys know I usually have some things prepared. I've got a few things prepared, but this is really just to announce what our conversation is going to be about today. Star Trek is the alpha and the omega, the beginning and the end. Yes, it is, Marge, and I appreciate you, Win Grace, and Justin for being here super early today. Thank you, guys. So let's just get into it, right? We will talk about the Star Trek Section 31 news. I got my information from Deadline. I'm sure that there are far more sources for the information, but the end all be all is there has been some castings for our Star Trek Section 31. I can't remember that. Section 31 movie that is starring Michelle Yeoh. She's coming back as Philippa Georgiou. We're going to see her join Section 31, whose mission is supposed to be to protect the Federation and Starfleet, and that she also is going to have to face the sins of her past. So we knew this was coming. We also knew that the recording was going to start very soon. Well, they have started. Let's see. They're off to the races. Thrilled to report principal photography has started on Star Trek Section 31, said executive producer Alex Kurtzman. We welcome our incredible cast of new characters as they join our beloved Michelle Yeoh on her next wild adventure across the Trek universe. Now, I don't know what y'all hoping for with this, but I am hoping that jumping off with a new cast for Section 31 will also leave room for these new characters to grow in the greater Star Trek universe. That's what I'm hoping. So let's see who has been cast. Let's see. We have Omari Hardwick stands out to me because it seems like I haven't seen him in a while in anything now. That just might be because my consumption of TV has been rather limited lately, but I haven't seen him in a whole lot. So I'm glad to see Omari Hardwick first and foremost as one of the new castings. Then we also have Casey Roll and Sam Richardson. Those are the people on your top row. On the bottom row, we have Sven Rugruk, Ruyggrok. I apologize for butchering that. We have Robert Kaczynski, Humberly Gonzalez, and James Hiroyuki Lau. Hopefully I said that right too. Y'all understand. Think it's a very, yeah, I agree. Very nice looking team. And hopefully they can grow with Star Trek. It depending on how the fandom receives the Star Trek Section 31 movie, maybe we'll see these characters in the future of Star Trek. So y'all just let me know how you feel about the castings. And you know how me and Marge feels. Yeah, let me know how you feel about the castings. And if there's anybody you want to look into to see what they have been in prior to this. I know I can go through if you'd like and see. I know Amari Hardwick from Power and from, let's see where else we might know him from. Amari Hardwick. Let's see. I don't want to go to Wikipedia. I guess I could. We go to filmography. We have seen Amari Hardwick in, well, I've seen him in Beauty Shop, Gridiron Gang. Let's see. Next Day Air, Kick Ass, The 18, For Colored Girls, Sparkle. Let me see what the last thing he's been in. He was in Fantasy Football, which I don't know what that is. 2022 sports family comedy directed by Anton Cropper. Yeah, I don't know what Fantasy Football is, and maybe somebody in the audience knows. And he was in The Mother, 2023 action thriller. Yeah, I don't know what that is either, but it had Jennifer Lopez in it. Y'all know what that is? Because I don't remember that. Diversity. Oh no, let's hope people understand that it might be some colored folks in space. Okay. Oh gosh. And when Grace wants to know who's going to be an alien and who gets to be their normal self. That's a good question as well. Is Section 31, will they have aliens? Section 31, it says in the description of this movie that Section 31 is tasked with protecting the Federation. But haven't we always assumed that it was a Starfleet thing? And if it's a Starfleet thing, will there be a preponderance of aliens? That's a good question. Who's going to be an alien? Who's going to be themselves? And then Marge is saying, yeah, some of them might be aliens. So that is that's a good point, that these people, they may be unrecognizable by the time they sit through makeup for hours or however they're going to do it. You know, I'm wondering how many shows are still doing extensive makeup and how many are doing the mocap. And I'm guessing that Star Trek will stay practical with things and it won't be motion capture, because that starts to become more and more expensive. And it seems like, you know, Star Trek is trying to do things more budget conscious, you know. Let's see. They aren't all Section 31 agents either. Good point. They could be the villains or Obsidian Order or something like that. Exactly. So yeah, very good point. Very good point. I'm pigeonholing all of these people into Section 31, and that is not necessarily the case. So as more information becomes available, we're going to keep our eye on it, because it looks like a very talented cast. Again, I don't know who everybody where we've seen them before. I'm going to look up Casey Roll here, because I'm kind of familiar with at least Omari Hardwick. Casey Roll is a Canadian actress, and she has been in, where's her filmography? She came on the scene in about 2010. Let's see. Movies, nothing that I can recognize. Let's see what's going on TV. She was in Fringe on TV, Clue, R.L. Stein's The Haunting Hour, the series, Supernatural, which I need to say I'm not altogether caught up on Supernatural. I've watched some of the earlier seasons of Supernatural. She's played in Hannibal, The X-Files in 2016. Let's see, Arrow, which you would think that I would remember. Oh, later seasons of Arrow, seasons 5 through 7, 12 episodes. I was off of Arrow by then, I think. So yeah, she's got a pretty good following, or a pretty good filmography. With Sam Richardson. Let me see what he's been in. Sam Richardson. Let's go to filmography. He is a actor and comedian. So he's going to be our funny guy. Y'all not going to give me, he's from the same, wait a minute, he's from the same region I'm from. He's from close to where I grew up. He's known for Veep, The After Party, and Velma. But he also was in Ghostbusters as a small role. Let's see if there's the Tomorrow War. I do remember him from the Tomorrow War. I do. Yeah, those are the ones that I'm 100% sure of. And he also was in an episode of Arrested Development, 6 episodes of The Office, Lip Sync Battle, Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from 2018 to 2019. This is all on TV. Curb Your Enthusiasm, 1 episode. So he's got, he was also the voice of Vendome, Vendome. I don't remember, from Star Trek Lower Decks, 2 episodes of that. So he's already got a little tiny bit of Star Trek experience. Let's see what you guys got to say. Marjorie has a little nitpick. She says she wishes 1 or 2 older actors would be featured. And I guess they feel like 1 is enough. Michelle Yeoh was the older actress. But yeah, we do need to see when we start talking about diversity, it's not just the ethnicity of these actors, but it's also to make sure that we are not falling into age discrimination as well. Justice says, should be an interesting movie. I'm interested to see what direction they take it. Me too. It will go, will it go down the DS9 way or Discovery way of how Section 31 is, or will it be a more moral section by the end? I guess the one thing about Section 31 is the ambiguity of the morality of the entire department that we call Section 31. It seems like they have to sometimes do the wrong thing for the right reasons. And yeah, I hope they lean into that moral ambiguity, and because it makes Philippa Georgiou seem like to be a good fit in that unit. I could be wrong, but I kind of hope they lean into that instead of it all being, though they're great now. They used to suck, but now they're great. No. He was big in Hocus Pocus too. Which one, Win Grace? Vendome was a bullion in Lower Decks. So that's who Sam Richardson was in Lower Decks already. Pardon me, I'm going to open up my drink because my throat is tickling already. Michelle Yeoh has age covered, yeah. Justice says a lot of strong character actors and actresses in the cast. I like that. Very good selection of people. I'm gonna go through these last 2 or these last 4. I'm sorry. I'm going to do these last 4 to see who is who, and then we'll move on. Stephen, this is the one. Stephen Rugrock. I can't say his name, and I should have made a slide with the with the actor's name. Now I gotta look at you. Sven Rugrock. Gosh. He is of South African descent. He is an actor, and he was Rambo in the Spud franchise. Because I'm sure that there's going to be some stuff I don't recognize because he's a South African actor. So he was Rambo in the Spud franchise. He's acted in films such as Zulu with Orlando Bloom, Bring It On Worldwide, and he trained as a national gymnast and was selected to perform for Cirque du Soleil while still in high school. So he was in One Piece, Warrior, Abraham Lincoln, the TV miniseries, Around the World in 80 Days. He's got a bit of a filmography. Trying to see what else. I mean, that's enough. So yeah, I'm not familiar with him, but he's a young cat, and he's from South Africa. Then we have Robert Kaczynski. Let's look at him. Robert Kaczynski. Doop, 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 doop. Here's his filmography. Films, he was in The Hobbit, Pacific Rim, Hot Pursuit, Captain Marvel. I haven't seen that yet. Captain Marvel. Yes, I have. That's the old Captain Marvel, right? Yeah, Captain Marvel. He was the biker in Captain Marvel. I would not have recognized him from that. The Gray Man. And on TV, he was in, of course, everybody was in Law and Order at some point. So Law and Order, Brothers and Sisters, 2 episodes there. He was True Blood, 9 episodes. Yeah. And he's done some video games work as well. And because he's a British actor, I believe. Let me look. He's got some awards in Britain. Yeah, he's from West Sussex, England. So yeah. Let's see. Now, Wingray says that he is most excited for James Hero. You know what I'm saying, trying to say, and I'm not trying to be funny. I don't want to butcher the names. I guess I better try to say it. Hiroyuki Liao. I hope that's right. Justice says, I hope it leans in, yet makes a line of what is acceptable and what is too far. That's a possibility. They may be trying to kind of clean up the reputation of Section 31 because we've always seen it as, like kind of the dirty work, the CIA, that intelligence wing that does whatever it takes for their idea of the greater good, even if that means doing some stuff that would typically be against what Starfleet stands for. So maybe they'll clean up the reputation a bit and let us see that there is more than one way to achieve things than what we've seen so far with Section 31. Wingray says he's the one I'm most excited for. Acrobatic fights with Michelle. And the above comment was about Sven. Yeah, that he does. It opens up the possibility of there being some wild stuff with him and his kind of gymnastics background. Yeah. Who else do we have left? We have Humberly Gonzalez is her name. Humberly Gonzalez. Let's see what she's been in. Humberly. I can't spell. I can spell, I can't type. Humberly Gonzalez. Actress, give me a filmography, please. Give me a filmography. Friends and Family, Utopia Falls, Maps and Mistletoe, Jenny and Georgia, State of Night, Horoscope. I don't remember any of these things. I'm going to, excuse me. Let me go to her IMDb and see if I can get any more out of her. Canadian actress. Trying to see what can our video game stuff. Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora. That's coming. That was last year. Yeah, I don't know that I know any of this stuff that she's been in, and that's fine, because one thing that Paw Patrol movie, she was a voice. Doesn't say who she voiced. It just says she was a voice. Clifford the Big Red Dog. She was the voice of Mrs. Flores. Yeah, I don't know a lot of her work, but that's good. because this is somebody that she can walk in. Oh, now she was an Orphan Black. I recognize that. But yeah, she could come in and be whoever, whatever. Hey there, Clarence. So glad you made it. Now, Wingrace says that Umberly Gonzalez was in a great, terrible Christmas movie I watched this year. Oh my gosh. Now let me see which one of these was a Christmas movie. Friends and Family Christmas. That could have been it. Okay, so but I haven't seen her, don't know her work, but I am excited to get to know her. And again, we don't place unnecessary expectations on people when we don't know them from other projects. So that's a good thing. We're gonna get into more of that a little bit later. Last but not least, Wingrace basically gave us an idea of what to expect with James Hiroyuki Liao, but I'm still going to look up his filmography to familiarize myself with him. American actor. Very good looking guy. Born in Brooklyn. He's known for Barry, The Dropout, Orphan Black. So he was also an Orphan Black. Unforgettable. That's a TV series as well. He was in 39 episodes of that. He's been in Blue Bloods, Cowboy Bebop, Snake Eyes, Manifest, the TV series, and I used to watch that, but he was only in one episode. Okay. NCIS New Orleans, he was in one episode. So okay, we know we've got an idea of what to expect from the cast. Good looking cast, like Marge said. Let's see. Okay, so it was a different movie, Maps in Mistletoe. Let's see. Things are starting off pretty good here. Angus, what's going on, sir? Good to see your face in the place. Angus says, I demand perfection. No, I expect more than that. Oh, Wingrace says, I'm going to need to check out Orphan Black. As will I. I'm going to have to check it out too. And let me see. Clarence says, look like a great cast. I wonder which of these is the baddie. See, in my little pigeonholed mind, I had them all being part of Section 31. Wingrace set me a little straight on that. They could be anybody in this movie, Tasha. Probably Omari. I really hope that, Omari is usually the bad guy. I hope that they don't play into the doggone, not stereotype. I don't want to call it a stereotype, but we're not pigeonholing him. Wingrace says, James Hiroyuki Liao and Robert Wisdom were in Barry together, along with some other amazing actors. It's one of my favorite modern shows. I've never watched it. Sorry. The sci-fi premise of Orphan Black is strong, though it gets too long in the tooth by the end. I don't think I've even tried to watch it, so I'm gonna have to at least give it a look over at least once and see what happens. Lower row, second from the left, looks like a bad guy. And now, which one? I'm trying to remember his name. Is Robert Kaczynski. And I can't remember what we said we saw him in before. We'll see soon, I guess. They're gonna have to eventually. Hopefully, what we don't get is a whole bunch of leaked photos and stuff like that from the set. I don't want that, because you know how my mind works. It works overtime anyway. If I see these pictures and stuff, I'm gonna start trying to figure things out. And then by the time I figure anything out, I'll be written a movie. And once I've written a movie, I'm gonna be upset if some of what I've written doesn't show up in the movie. I'm gonna try to be better at being patient as far as just waiting instead of just jumping off into Speculation Nation. Y'all know I'm gonna jump off into Speculation Nation, but I'm gonna try to be more patient with the as it let the information just come to me as it may. Don't go out there seeking stuff. Just let it find me organically, because y'all know how I get. Oh, we covered that. Orphan Black was the one about clones. Somebody answer that in the chat, because I don't know. Oh, there you go, Marge. Answered it already. Yes, clones. Clarence Brown is right. The series starts very strong for the first seasons. Great premise. Just trying to get through the week, Clarence. Oh, you're answering Clarence. Sorry about that. So yeah, you guys let me know if you got any other thoughts on the Section 31 movie and the castings, and what do we expect from this movie? How do we hope things go? Again, I really hope that we create some characters that move on within the Star Trek franchise and are not just a part of this movie. Hopefully we get that. Now, y'all know this wouldn't be like a pop culture conversation without us talking about the Super Bowl, because we got a Super Bowl lined up now. We know who it's going to be. It's going to be the Kansas City Chiefs versus the San Francisco 49ers. Now, one of the things, and by the way, I got links to articles down in our description of this live stream if you wanted to see where I'm getting information from. The reason why I even want to talk about this is because the Taylor Swift effect. We are seeing some big, huge numbers turn up to watch these games. Like, for instance, the Chiefs-Ravens game secured the best AFC championship audience ever. And we got to ask ourselves, now, was the game that good? Wasn't that great? Because the Baltimore Ravens played like boo-boo. We didn't know that until we tuned in. And if you are a person who is a sports fan, or you are a football fan, a Ravens fan, you're a KC fan, you was going to watch anyway. But for that game to be the most watched AFC championship game ever, and no Tom Brady is part of this at all, right? Do we have to ask ourselves, was this another example of the Taylor Swift effect? Oh, let me pick up these. Tatiana Maslany, She-Hulk, is fantastic in the show. I remember now that she was in there. Yeah. Do we think that the Section 31 show is going to be a prequel? For example, does it take place before the trip to the future? It depends on where Georgia landed when she, wait a minute, because was she already part of Section 31 before she landed, before she met the Guardian of Forever and all of this stuff? Is the Guardian, will this be after the Guardian of the Future situation? Or am I saying it right? Guardian of Tomorrow? The Guardian of Tomorrow? I can't remember. Is this going to be after that, or will it be between the seasons of 1 and 2, where Giorgio might have gotten into some Section 31 stuff? Yeah, I don't know, man. That's a good question. I was thinking that it would come after this whole Guardian thing, and wherever the Guardian placed her back in the past, but it could be literally anything. But no, it would undermine the fact that she had already she had her kind of epiphany of kind of starting to deal with the sins of her past in the Discovery. So if she's going to be dealing more with the sins of her past, it's probably coming after the Discovery. But wherever the Guardian of Forever puts her in the timeline, if I'm making sense. Let me know if y'all understood what I'm saying. Conspiracy theories about Taylor Swift. are Carrie are crazy. Carl, thank you, Angus. And now everybody's like, we gotta love Carl. And Justin says maybe some time travel that he thinks it might be some time travel. Yeah, that's another thing. He's got to write these things down and try to figure out where we might see. Remember how I said I was going to try to be patient and not go out seeking. Now I'm going to make a whole spreadsheet talking about where Giorgio could land in the timeline based upon what the only thing that we know about the movie, which is the short synopsis that we've gotten from Kurtzman and company. Parallel travel, that works as well. If y'all want to go over to my coffee page, oh, that's that Sinister Silhouettes. No worries. I got one for after the snap too. But yeah, coffee. I don't want nobody to buy me coffee. If you're gonna get me something, give me a taco. Because coffee will do nothing but keep me up for days. Anyway, so the Taylor Swift effect. Are we seeing it in the NFL? And I think we are. I know we are, because I'm on Twitter and there is a subset of people who are only waiting to see Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce's romantic gestures towards one another. They're loving to see Taylor Swift go crazy in the box and skybox. They're loving to see their embraces at the end of games, specifically this AFC Championship game, where I've seen so much. Now, I'm not saying that Taylor is asking for all of this attention on this relationship, but she knows that wherever she goes, the Swifties go with her. How much do we think the NFL is capitalizing on the fact that all eyes are on them simply because of Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce? This is a situation where you probably are not going to make football fans out of the Swifties, but you can use them to pad your numbers. Let me know what you think. There was something else. Now, the 49ers, the NFC title, it had a smaller increase in viewership, but mostly the Chiefs and the Ravens, best ever. They have never seen numbers like they saw with this KC and Baltimore game. Scored nearly 56 million viewers on CBS, making it the most watched AFC Championship game ever and breaking a record held by a Jets-Steelers matchup for more than a decade. The game was up 17% from the early championship window last year, which was actually the NFC Championships 49ers versus Eagles. The game peaked with 64 million viewers. So, like I said, Taylor Swift could have something to do with that. Maybe she doesn't. Maybe people really wanted to see KC and Baltimore. Didn't end the way I wanted it to, but I'm okay with whoever goes to the Super Bowl because I really wasn't invested this season. One thing that we can say is that somebody clocked the amount of time that Taylor Swift got during that Chiefs and Ravens game, and it was less than they had been doing. Now, a part of me says, great, because Taylor Swift is there to support her boyfriend, but this is that AFC Championship game is his moment, not hers. This was his opportunity to do what he does best, and then hopefully his team becomes or prevail, and it did. His team prevailed, and they lived to fight for this one last game. But I didn't like a whole lot of the Taylor Swift coverage. Not that she's asking for it. Again, I didn't like it because it's taken away from the fact that he is supposed to be the center of attention in football. When he went to her concerts, yeah, they put the camera on him occasionally, but you're not there to watch Travis Kelce root on Taylor Swift. You're there to watch Taylor Swift. And the same thing goes for the football angle. You're not supposed to be there to watch Taylor Swift root on Travis Kelce. You're supposed to be there to watch Travis Kelce. And because he is top of his game, one of the best tight ends in the league, you're diminishing him by making it all about Taylor, if you get my drift. Mind you, we know that the Super Bowl is going to play up the presence of Taylor Swift if she's there, which I'm pretty sure she'll be there. So they're going to play up the attendance of Taylor Swift, but you got so many other people who have put in a whole season of work to be in that moment, and we shouldn't steal the moment from them to put it on Taylor Swift. But we know the Swifties are going to be there. Let me know what you guys think. Angus wants post-Picard galactic intrigue from the Section 31 movie. Now, Marge says she's not a football fan, but I might just tune in to this Super Bowl. Justice says, yeah, Taylor fans are die hard. The NFL loves it. Some of her fans are also football fans. He's sure. Right. But I'm telling you, I think that there is a smaller number of Taylor Swift fans who are football fans than football fans who also like Taylor Swift. If that makes sense. The performance for the halftime is, yes, going to be Usher. I think we got Reba McEntire doing something. Post Malone is going to be doing something. All of these people have put in we know that Rihanna's Navy, and most of the time, whoever is a fan of the halftime show, they're going to show up just to watch the halftime show, which is expected. What we don't expect, or what I've never expected, is for people to show up to watch a game just to see the reaction of somebody else watching the game. I've never been in this position where the game becomes less about the players than it is about a personality that's just there to watch the game. Clarence says, I always feel bad when people talk about her popularity because I can't name a single song she sings. Me neither. I don't know her music. But it also goes to her popularity that we even know who she is. We know her. She's a household name. If somebody put a gun to my head and said, now, name a Taylor Swift song right now, I wouldn't know what to say. I would not know what to say. And that's a testament to just how the machine works now. You're going to know these people, whether you know them or not, and here we are, all of us talking about Taylor Swift, and I couldn't name a song. I know who she is. I can't name a song. Marge says the same thing. She don't know none either. Oh, she just likes to see the conservative meltdown. That's another thing. Again, because I've said it a million times in just this last few minutes, I don't think she's asking for this attention. She's going to the game to root on her boyfriend. And if I had a boyfriend playing, I'd be there rooting my boyfriend on too. It's just nobody would care that I was there. They care that she's there. How are we making this political? Because she has a different political opinion than you, and you know her political opinion because of who she is. I don't like that, but I do agree that the conservatives have been literally crapping their pants about her presence, even to the point where some of them say we won't be watching the Super Bowl. We're going to see how long that lasts. But a lot of people say they won't watch the Super Bowl because she's going to be there. It's just stupid. We do stupid stuff as a society. Society has gotten so dumb. I'm not going to watch the Super Bowl, the biggest game, one of the most, the the hugest events of the year as far as sports is concerned, as far as TV, pop culture. People watch the Super Bowl at times just to watch the commercials. You're saying I'm gonna miss this entire event because of the presence of one person. So stupid. Taylor Swift is not a conservative artist. No, she is very outspoken on her views of supporting Biden. She's got a huge number of people, huge number of young folks to register to vote and to vote Democrat in the next election. And that, okay, I guess if you're going to hate somebody, that might be a reason. But I'm not about to, just because of her, just because she's there, I'm not going to watch the football game. Because she leveraged her platform to stand up for a cause that she believes in. Because right now, I'm like, wow. Politically, I think we're just in a bad situation, if you ask me. And look, I know everybody is not going to agree with me. I know I've got some diehard Biden supporters. I know we've got some diehard Trump supporters. And then I'm sitting like somewhere in the shades of gray because I truly believe that the future of our nation should be handed down to people who are going to be affected by the decisions that are being made by the people in office. And we got an octogenarian and a what's a 7-year-old, a septuagenarian, centenarian. We got two people who are way over the median age of an adult in the United States that are being poised to run this country for 4 years. And any decisions, mistakes, they don't have to live with them. And I mean, unless, unless they find some way to keep people alive forever, Biden and Trump will not have to live with whatever goes on in the nation. We will. And our children or grandchildren and the such. And I honestly think that it's selfish for them at the age that they are. And I know I sound ageist, but there are some jobs that are better suited for a person who has to live with the stakes. And don't hate me for saying that, y'all. Clarence said, I thought she was just about as wholesome as you can get. She is. You trying to say that the liberals can't be wholesome? Taylor Swift supports Democratic candidates. She does. Angus says, GOP political stance is not everyone deserves voter enfranchisement because they win more. Let me read it from over here because I can't see. They win more often when turnout is low. She wants more people to vote. Right. Politics, not her content. Right. Real politics. Yeah, exactly. Gotcha. Republicans are claiming the game has been rigged. I mean, if the game was rigged, Lord have mercy, Baltimore made it real easy. If the game was rigged and if they really just wanted Baltimore to throw the game so Kansas City could make it to the Super Bowl, they did a fantastic job because Baltimore did not play their best game. They did not. And it looked like, to me, they got lost in the moment. The lights were too bright and they made a lot of petty errors in the game. So we shall see, Hey, while we're talking about Kansas City, though, have you guys heard about the 3 Kansas City fans who went over one of their buddies' house, watched the football game, not this past game from a couple of weeks ago. They watched the game. After the game went off and everybody was supposedly going their separate ways, these 3 gentlemen came up missing. So the families of the 3 men were calling the friend whose home they were at watching the game, trying to get a gauge on where their loved ones might be, and they were getting no response from the friend. So they did this for 2 days, calling, uh, sending them messages on Facebook, sending them text messages, until one of the fiancés of the 3 missing men, one of their fiancé just said, "F it, I'm going to the house." So she went to the house, and after doing a little sleuthing, she found the bodies of these 3 missing Kansas City Chiefs fans and friends of the inhabitant of this house. She found them deceased, frozen to death in his backyard. Now, when asking the friend, how did this happen? How do your friends' cars remain outside your house for 2 days and you don't ask any questions? You haven't been answering the phone, and you don't know that there are 3 bodies in your backyard. And friend says, "I was asleep with headphones on for 2 days with a fan blowing." So he had noise reducing headphones on, he had a fan on, and he slept for 2 days while his friends froze to death in the backyard. Now you have to ask yourself, self, what kind of headphones do you have? Like, I need these headphones, unless they were plugged right into the source, which I find hard to believe if you're sleeping for 2 days. The battery, you would think that the battery life wouldn't have been strong enough to have headphones on for 2 days and everything is being blocked out. Then you have to ask yourself, why did 3 grown men sit out in your backyard and freeze to death? Even if you had locked the door, before I freeze to death, I'm busting one of your windows and I'm going to go into your house. And it's just a very weird situation. And man's the inhabitant of the home who slept for 2 days, which sounds like one hell of a bender that they might have been on. The inhabitant of the house who slept for 2 days says, "I did nothing." The police are saying, "We're not investigating this as a homicide. We're investigating this as a death." And the world is like, "What the heck? How does this even happen?" So you tell me if you guys have heard anything about that story, and do you feel like something nefarious went on at this house? Because I want to look out the window, and if I see my friend's car is still out there, I'm about to wonder, why have their cars been outside my house for 2 days? But anywho, tell me what you think. Marge was reminding us local politics is even more important than world politics, and I agree. Justice says the story is wild about the Kansas City Chiefs fans. Yeah, it is crazy. Oh no, yes, this terrible thing happened, and I still can't figure it out. Wingray says, "Yeah, I think it's drugs. It seems familiar to a story from a few years ago where a comedian took drugs with their friends and woke up to find they were all dead." And I think I remember that too. But how did they get outside? You get what I mean? You get what I'm saying? How did they get outside? Marge says, "And how does it take 3 days to go check?" Good question. And Angus asking the same question. How do 3 grown-ass men freezing to death not knock the door down? Precisely. I'm kicking your door in, friend, and I'll help you pay for it and put the new one up. But I'm going to kick your door in. I'm not to freeze to death. Not at all. Not when there is a house with heat right on the other side of this door. I'm not. Got to be drugs. Hopefully we'll find out soon, because this situation is bothering me. It's like, how does this even happen? Justice says, "Yeah, there's something suspect on that whole thing." And then Clarence says, "I agree with Wingrace. If they were all high and not in their right mind, I can see it." Man, all 3 of them though, Clarence, all 3 of them, I can see one person sitting their ass out there freezing to death. But all 3 of them, unless they all had sleep for 2-day drugs in their system. Like, I have never just laid and consecutively slept for 2 days and heard nothing. Bodily functions require that I'm gonna have to get up at least at once or twice within that amount of time. And when I do get up, I'm going to look around. I think I'm going to figure out what the hell went on at my house that I slept for 2 days? It's weird. March, wait a minute. Reminds me of that woman that stabbed that guy 101 times and they let her off. Stab this. Okay, so if you don't know what Clarence is talking about, there was a situation where a young lady was on trial for and gosh, I can't remember what year this happened in. Let me pull up an article real quick just so I can see, make sure we're getting the small details right on the crime. Woman stabs. Oh, here we are. Okay, so the woman who stabbed her boyfriend 108 times. California woman was facing up to 4 years, only 4 years now, up to 4 years in prison for fatally stabbing her boyfriend more than 100 times during a drug-induced psychotic episode in 2018. So, Bryn Spector, 32 at this time, or she was 32 in December. She was found guilty of involuntary manslaughter in the killing of her boyfriend, Chad O'Melia, who was 26. She had been facing a possible 4 years prison term ahead of her sentencing, which happened last week, Tuesday. So on May 27, 2018, prosecutor said Spector fatally stabbed O'Melia, an accountant, inside his Thousand Oaks, California apartment approximately 108 times after the couple had smoked marijuana together. She also repeatedly stabbed herself and a dog. I know she stabbed a dog as well. According to the Ventura County Star, police officers who responded to the scene said they found Spector in a pool of blood holding a knife. They reportedly had to use a taser device and a baton to disarm her and take her into custody. During the trial, a medical expert testified that Spector's behavior was the result of a cannabis-induced psychosis. According to the National Library of Medicine, a diagnosis of the disorder is given when hallucinations or delusions materialize shortly after consuming cannabis. So she consumed cannabis along with her boyfriend. She ended up stabbing him 108 times, killing him. She stabbed herself a couple times. She reportedly needed to be tased to be taken in to custody by the police. She was found guilty of involuntary manslaughter. And do you know that she was facing 4 years in prison? And she ended up with a sentence of 3 years probation and 100 hours of community service. Now look, and let me just let me come into this so you can understand how absolutely batshit nuts that is. Now, look, I'm not saying that you can't have cannabis-induced hallucinations. You can. It could happen. You would have to have some really strong stuff, but they said that, hey, her and her boyfriend had the really strong stuff. If you know you are a lightweight, excuse me, a lightweight at cannabis consumption, you don't go with the heavy-ish. I eat quite a few edibles. I've eaten some edibles in my day. And if I get a 25 milligram, little tiny 25 milligram edible, I'm cutting that thing in half. 12 and a half milligrams is great for me as a person who just recreationally will use it or will use it to calm my anxiety. You don't go for the heavyweight stuff. But okay, let's just say we could take cannabis out of the picture because this is an example that Clarence brought up in my chat. Let's take cannabis out of the equation. It's alcohol. If me and you, whomever you are, we're going to sit and have drinks. I'm a lightweight drinker. You're a lightweight drinker. Are we going to sit there and just drink and drink and drink and drink until we're passed out drunk and then try to use that as an excuse for why we did something to one another as far as criminal? No, people will get laughed right out the courtroom. As a matter of fact, they would not be able to, they wouldn't wait to be able to throw the book at me if I got drunk and went out and hit somebody. Oh, well, the drink, I didn't know that the drinks was that strong. But how does this lady get away with it? It was amazing. It's stupid. And I of course we're going to have these conversations with, especially when the intersection of pop culture comes into, or the intersection of what we're talking about comes into the culture, and the culture, looking at me, black culture. Some of these things that people get away with is downright ridiculous. How the hell you stab somebody 108 times? Don't care what you did to yourself, because if I was in a car accident after getting drunk, and I get behind the wheel of a car, and then I crash into something and I get hurt and somebody else gets killed, ain't nobody gonna look at me like, oh, but it was just the drinks he had was too strong. No, they're gonna throw the book at my ass. I'm going to prison, not for 4 years either. So yeah, it's just insane. Justice said, I also heard that story, Clarence, and that she was on marijuana, if I recall. That's crazy. Marijuana, I can't say what it does to everybody. Like I said, she must have been on some really strong stuff. In fact, they say it was some really strong stuff, but I don't care. I don't care how strong it was, because again, there are other drugs out there that are legal, because marijuana is legal where they were consuming. I believe it was in California. It was legal where they're consuming, and alcohol is legal, but people are getting thrown up the river for alcohol, as they should. So if you get too high and you commit a crime, you should have to pay a penalty. Mars said even the original 4-year sentence is ridiculously light. Exactly. Sets a very dangerous precedent. Absolutely. And this is a TV series waiting to happen. It's coming. It's coming. Speaking of TV series, anybody else watch Griselda on Netflix? I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. There were things that were glossed over, and there were things that were made for TV, but for the most part, if you had no idea who Griselda Blanco is, first and foremost, don't watch this and think you're getting the entire story, because you will not be getting the entire story, but you will get a window into how Griselda saw herself, because in the movie, she kind of, most of the time, or the series, I'm sorry, it's on Netflix. In the series, she kind of comes across most of the time as an anti-hero. And if you know the story of Griselda Blanco and the Miami drug wars and the cocaine cowboys and all of that, if you know that story, there was nothing anti-heroic about her. She was definitely the villain. But this retelling of her story kind of makes you sympathetic to her in a way. Watch it if you get an opportunity, and let me know what you think about that. Let me see. Angus says, worst I ever had with that much pot was merging into a couch for a few hours. Yeah, I might merge into a couch for like 12 hours. Yeah, 12, 14 hours, but I'm not going to kill nobody. Wingray said he only just heard about Griselda, but he's going to put it on his list. Griselda Blanco was basically a leader of a cartel, a drug cartel, and she was from Colombia. They try to lump her in with the Medellin cartel, but honestly, Griselda was a force unto herself. And in the series, again, they tend to start things off by giving you a sympathetic view of Griselda. Griselda was nobody to feel sorry for. Griselda was a force. And if you get an opportunity, there are a lot of series. I believe Narcos did something about her. I believe there was one docuseries called Cocaine Cowboys. Griselda was a mess. She was ruthless. She was murderous. She was greedy. She was cunning. She was smart. But you cross her, and she's leaving bodies. So we saw in the series a few bodies. We're talking that just there could be at least 3-4 dozen people that she had killed during the drug wars in Miami in the 70s, 80s, 90s. And she got her comeuppance. And I won't tell any more of the story. Yeah, Justice said I watched a documentary on her. She was evil. Just just the worst. And what made it worse is that people underestimated her because she's a woman, and she proved that women can be just as or even more ruthless than men when it comes to the drug game. It's absolutely but Sofia Vergara's, I think that's how you say her name. She played Griselda, and she did an outstanding job. Was completely unrecognizable as the character of Griselda. So please, if you are into it, watch it. Yeah, she did some really evil stuff, says Johnson. She did. She pioneered even a way of dispatching with her enemies that was not shown in the series. And I'll talk about that really quick before we'll move on. She bought members of her army because, your cartel, you got a bunch of hitmen. She facilitated them to get motorcycles, motorbikes, and instead of doing a drive-by in a car, they would swarm on bikes and take out targets and be gone. You don't have to sit in traffic when you're on a bike. You can zip in and out of traffic and be gone like the wind. And she started that in Miami. She's a mess. She sound like a good Trek villain. And if you want the entire Federation to blow up, she wasn't gonna miss. Oh gosh, this lady was ruthless. You would definitely, if you're into biopics and bio series, that would be one that I kind of recommend because, like I said, they kind of come across trying to be sympathetic, and there's nothing particularly sympathetic about Griselda. All right. So we talked a little bit about diversity earlier. How, in Section 31 castings, we're seeing a very good smattering of diversity. And then we noticed in television as well. We had seen a lot of diversity in the why is that doing that? We had seen a lot of diversity in what we were seeing on TV. And Issa Rae, who, if you didn't know, is behind shows such as Insecure, Rap Shit. She's done American Fiction. She was President Barbie in the Barbie movie. Issa Rae is noticing what a lot of us are noticing, and I don't know how many people are paying attention, like really close attention, to the fact that we're starting to see a lot of Black television canceled. And I'm wondering if we are finally seeing studios going back to their true colors, because you notice after the 2020 situations where there was racial tension. There's always racial tension in the U.S., but it was simmering over in 2019, 2020, especially after the George Floyd situation, after the Breonna Taylor situation, after those debacles. We started seeing, well, we stand with, the Black community and Black fists everywhere, and everybody is for Black gay. We're going to see more Black people on TV, and we're going to do this. I'm starting to wonder how much of it was performative. Now, when you have a person like Issa Rae coming out and saying, look, she's noticing that there have been a lot of cancellations. Um, Sweet Life, Los Angeles, what is it? A Black Lady Sketch Show. Those types of shows that she did that were acclaimed being canceled. When you see that happening, it's like we're going back to the old guard. Now we don't have to have this performative activism anymore, as if we're going to continue to at least allow good series to exist in the space of television, what you see, especially prime time ish. She said, you're seeing so many Black shows get canceled. You're seeing so many executives, especially on the diversity, equity, and inclusion side, get canned. You're seeing very clearly now that our stories are less of a priority. Um, Ray thinks that being more independent is the way to go, adding that she's pessimistic because there's no one holding anyone accountable, and she can sure, but at what cost? The thing is, she is right in a million different ways. Like Quinta Brunson, who is doing Abbott Elementary, you can't deny it's a good show. It's a show that speaks to more than just the Black audience. I like shows like that because we're not monolithic. Again, you don't want a show that only speaks to one audience, but we're forced as Black people, we're a lot of times forced to accept, or to accept that, hey, I love this show. It's primarily white people in the show. It's a white cast. We don't see rarely anybody else in the cast, but we are forced to consume that. And sometimes we like it, sometimes we don't. But if we don't see people who look like us on television, we're used to it. And I think that it's wrong to not expect to see a series that has a majority Black cast, and for other races to say, you know what, we got this got a majority Black cast, but guess what? I can relate to it. It's funny, or it's smart, or it's intriguing, and I'm going to continue to watch it. But like Issa Rae says, you're starting to see a fallback on promises, this performative activism that a lot of these studios were doing, and as such, they feel like, okay, we can slowly turn it off now. No, we need to keep their feet to the fire. Um, Not just Black people, but also our allies. We need to keep their feet to the fire. And it's not just Black. I enjoy the fact that we have seen some Native American storytelling. I've enjoyed the fact that we're seeing a big resurgence in Asian storytelling. These are the things that we need to ensure that diversity, equity, and inclusion is more than just a phrase or 3 letters on a door, DEI. It needs to be how we live. I'm going to pick up comments. I see something Angus put, and I'm laughing already. Justice says the stories about her and the lovers were crazy too. She was a boss but evil. Oh, he's talking about Griselda. Yeah, Griselda had, according to legend, she had men lovers, she had women lovers. She was a boss. We're going to also get into a little bit of that, because in that era, if you were a boss, you could do whatever the hell you wanted, and that creates the ego problem and abuse problems. But we'll get into that a little bit later. Marge says, define Black television: Black leads, Black director, producers. Yeah, all of the above. Now, a story told from a Black point of view, period. So we have the writers are Black, your director is Black, your cast is Black, because we've seen it. We know that it's possible. We've seen it in a lot of other ethnicities, races. So it's possible. We're seeing a story being told from the lens of the people who experienced it, and that is most of the time it is from a Caucasian lens. Black television would be, we are the central character, and it's told from a point of view of the central character. You don't have an old white man writing for a young black woman. It's just like the whole Buffy. Remember when we talked about, well, we talked about it years ago. I remember we used to talk about how Joss Whedon and the problems that people began to have with Joss. And then after you sat back and watched some of the television that he put out, you've got a male writing for a young, older, like a middle-aged male, writing for a young female part. And you could see it and you can smell it. You can see that this is a person who has not lived through this experience. So that is how they picture it goes. Well, that's how I feel about television. You know, it's cool sometimes, but sometimes you do want a story that you like. I know that this story was written by somebody who understands exactly what it is that they're saying. When I think of movies, a lot of movies that some people may not even heard of, you know, Love Jones, Brown Sugar. When I think of those movies and they're told from the lens of our understanding, Black people understanding, it's still a show or a movie that people can relate to, because you can relate to love no matter how you look at it, but it's told from the standpoint of a person who has experienced Black love, because it looks a little bit different. You know, it's the same thing, it just looks a little different. And we were getting more of that. We were getting stories like Lovecraft Country, and stories like, again, like the Issa Rae Insecure. She ended that on her own accord, but when you start looking in the vein of that, you're not seeing people plugged in to greenlight more shows like that. In fact, we're seeing more of those shows being taken off than added to. Now, if the show was bad, if it stunk, so be it, so be it. But when you have good, critically acclaimed shows and they are taken off, you have to ask yourself why. And I'm not saying that there is some huge conspiracy where, but I am saying that for many, many years, and matter of fact, for decades, they thought that Black people couldn't sell a love story. So we're not going to put as much money or marketing or whatever into it, because, you know, Black people can't sell. Nobody's going to go and see it. Remember, they felt that way about superheroes too. They were like, oh, we can't have too many Black superheroes because nobody's going to see it. Not realizing the power of the dollar that Black people had. We kind of proved the point with Black Panther. So this is not for me to say we need we need an extra push. We just need an equal push, if you understand what I'm saying. Angus said, y'all appeased yet? See, you should be satisfied. We gave y'all 4 whole years of TV. Marge says Abbott Elementary is great. Yeah, Marge seems like she agrees. It needs to be the way we live. That's it. It just, and I know it sounds so optimistic, but again, Star Trek. We're Star Trek fans. This is the way we think anyway. Most of them, if you're diehard and you really believe in the principles that you have seen in Starfleet, as Star Trek goes, you're like, this should just be normal, but it's not yet normal. It's not yet, and oh my gosh. Thank you for the question, because you actually made me exercise like how do I even want to see this thing go, Marge? It's like, you know, you don't want stuff handed to you. Like if this channel was to blow up, and it only blew up because we're going to go out and we're going to support one Black creator. No, I want people to come out and watch my ish and enjoy the conversations and give me a subscribe. I don't want the ish handed to me, you know, but I do want a chance. And I think I feel the same way about TV and movies and such. Justin agrees that Lovecraft was really good. The only, the whole Jonathan Majors thing, womp, 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 womp. But that series was fantastic. Angus says Jack Kirby was told to put more white people in Black Panther comic books. So the next issue, he had Black Panther fighting the KKK. Let me give Jack Kirby a standing ovation. Yay, Jack. Because, you careful what you ask for, right? Careful what you ask for. Marge says, do you or anyone here think that the cancellations of Black shows might be a reaction to the anti-DEI people? Absolutely. Absolutely. Because you're also seeing some places just eliminate DEI all of a sudden. They're firing their DEI directors. And yeah, so you're seeing a reaction to a reaction. Yeah, you're seeing actions taken on the basis of the reactions of people on the right. The further right you go, the crazier that ish gets. But yes, I agree. And I'm like you, Marge. Yay, Jack Kirby. Boy, we need so many more Jack Kirbys. And some people, we look at some people and they're great people, but they're flawed. We talked about that on one of Clarence's live streams where they were discussing Gene Roddenberry, some of his flaws, but then also some of the things that he had to add to the world that was great. He's a flawed individual though, because he's human. It's the same thing that I feel like about Martin Luther King, when people start to drag up some of the less seemly things that he may have done. Does that eliminate the good that he did? And the answer to me is no. It just means that he was a flawed human being with high ideals of how things could look, a future that only he could dream of, So yeah, I love Jack Kirby. I love those who had the foresight to see a day when where we are right now, where I don't even know what color half of the people, what nationality, or what, only know what you tell me. But I talk to you guys, damn near weekly, one way or another. We're going to either meet up, or we're going to meet up here, we're going to meet up over with Clarence's, but I talk to you guys weekly. You are my friends inside the computer. And you know what I look like, but I don't know what half of y'all look like. And it doesn't even matter. And that was, that was what they dreamed of. And here we are. Now there's still work to be done. We've got some work to do, but it's not where we couldn't even be in this conversation together. Somebody would tell if I was talking to some white folks, or if y'all was talking to some N-words, so shoot. Oh, it is. It's scary, March. And okay, so you guys know that I was absent, was missing for a little while, and I had a mental health, I had a mental breakdown, and I am slowly becoming myself again. Y'all can see that I'm not totally Tasha back yet, but I'm slowly coming back. And I sit and I ask myself, what the hell happened? Because whatever happened, it happened at the end of October. And here we are months later, and I'm starting to feel like me again. If you notice, and I know maybe you guys did, maybe you didn't. I've lost a lot of weight. And I'm noticing that this happens to me in election cycles, especially 2020 and this one. And it's because I worry that our future is not looking brighter and brighter. It's starting to look more and more scary. And I got little people that are here, and I don't want them to grow up having to retread the steps that our parents and us that we had to walk. And it fills me with a lot of anxiety, a lot of depression. I sometimes have to just unplug myself from everything, but then I want to be informed. I want to know what's going on, but the more I know, the more it weighs on me. It's scary. It is so scary. And I don't like harping on it. But I'm like, this at this stage of the game, whatever helps me up here is what I'm going to do. And talking about it occasionally, not all the time. I don't want it to become a political channel, but talking about it helps me. And not ignoring and pretending like it doesn't exist because of some imaginary viewers that I'm afraid of pissing off. These things exist. Now, being honest, I am as I guess progressive, I guess centrist, where I'm like, there's good on both sides, but it's the people with the extreme ideas on both sides that really, really scare me, because we honestly need to be in a position where we can work together. And everybody that's conservative is not evil. Everybody that's liberal is not what do they call them? Snowflakes, woke, all of that. None of that. We don't need all of that. What we need is, okay, we disagree on fundamental things on both sides, but there has to be a middle ground. We need to be forced to work together. And we're getting further and further and further away from that. And it scares me. It scares me, y'all. Don't meet your hero. Yeah, Angus. Sometimes you get surprised. Surprise! I'm a piece of shit. Marge says the conversation is important and I appreciate this discussion. I appreciate y'all being here to listen and talk and add and give me things to think about too. Because like I said, I can sit in here all day and have all of these thoughts, and it I become my own echo chamber. So to hear other thoughts and force myself to think of from a different perspective is actually healthy. It actually keeps me from ruminating about the things that just run around in my head, because I can take it there. So that was my thing about Issa Rae. DCU has founded Supergirl, y'all. So we know that there has been a reboot of the DC universe of movies and television. We have ended what most of us were calling the DCEU. It has now under the umbrella of James Gunn and Peter Safran, who have taken it on, dropped that E up out of it, said DCU. They have cast their Superman and now their Supergirl. So the new Woman of Steel is House of the Dragons, Millie Alcock. I don't know an awful lot about Millie Alcock. I have learned that she is an Australian actress, and she has starred in that prequel to. My hand is itching. I should have bought a lottery ticket, y'all. She is starting that prequel of House of of Game of Thrones, which is House of the Dragon. Sorry. She is going to be Supergirl. Now she beat out Amelia Jones and Meg Donnelly. Now Meg Donnelly, Meg Donnelly voiced Supergirl in animated movies like Legion of Superheroes, Justice League, Crisis of Infinite Earths Part 1, etc. So this young lady beat out, some names that we kind of are more familiar with, because Amelia Jones was in Coda as well. So we know them from those things. And I'm like, I don't know this young lady because I haven't watched House of the Dragon. I'm not 100% sure how she did in the role, but she really looks good as a Supergirl. Really looks good. I'm looking forward to seeing, number one, the rest of, like, say, our core members, and whether we're going to Justice League route or whatever we're doing. I'm looking forward to seeing the rest of that cast come together specifically for the Superman Legacy movie, which is about to go before the cameras in Georgia. But we know that she's going to appear in that movie, and she's going to also appear in a solo feature called Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. We haven't got a director for that project yet, but we can look forward to it coming. And it's based upon that comic book series that you see right there next to her in the picture from 2022. And let me see. Now, when we start talking about this version of Supergirl, we see the difference between Superman, who was sent to Earth and raised by loving parents from the time he was an infant, versus Supergirl, who was raised on a rock, a piece of Krypton, and she watched everybody around her die and be killed in terrible ways for the first 14 years of her life. And then she came to Earth when she was a young girl. So she's far more hardcore than Superman because she had a different upbringing. It's the whole nature versus nurture type thing, and we should be seeing a difference in the character, something that we haven't seen before. Clarence says she was great in House of the Dragon. I'm glad that we have somebody who has a idea of her pedigree, how good she was. Thank you, Justin. You feel the same as me on the political situation. It gets to be such a headache, but we in the world, and so it's best to just stay abreast of what's going on, but not try to absorb every single blow. I didn't talk about the Superman casting. Let me see. Now that movie will be coming out next year, and it is going to be David Cornsweet as Clark Kent. Now we have seen David Cornsweet before in, gosh, I'm trying to get the stuff that most of us would know. I got to find that filmography. We have seen him in he was in 11 episodes of The Politicians, We Own the City, House of Cards. He was in one episode, Instinct, one episode. Yeah, so we got some things. He will be showing up in Twisters, that movie, and The Greatest Hits. Those are two movies that he'll be coming into later. But yeah, he looks good for the role too. He's a very good looking young man, and I think he'll play an excellent Clark Kent / Superman. Angus says she's not a corn-fed Midwest farm boy from Smallville. Nope. she might be Griselda Blanco. Sound like her upbringing was very, very Griselda Blanco-ish. Justin says she was great in House of the Dragon, and he's interested to see her take on Supergirl. Hope the new DC stuff is done really good and they get it right. I hope so too. I've got some faith. It's like I'm not feeling apprehensive. We know it's going to be different, and hopefully it's different in a good way, because James Gunn hasn't been a disappointment in anything that he has helmed. And he is personally helming Superman Legacy. Now, I don't know if he's going to be passing on duties later on to other directors when it comes to these other movies. Hopefully he doesn't get this main character syndrome where he's the only person who can direct these movies. Give other directors a chance to show their vision, as long as they're going in the direction of your main narrative for whatever we're doing with the DCU. Now, talk about answer me this. Who do you want, or what do you want to see the storyline? Who do you want them to lead up to? If we're going in phases like they did in the MCU, whatever you want to call it, who would you like to see them build up to as their big bad for a phase? Do you think their big bad needs to be really big, or do you think that a team up movie for instance, if we ever get a Justice League movie again, or whatever they want to do, Justice Society, whatever they want to do, who do you want to see that team go up against? I've got ideas, but I want to hear other people's ideas because, for me, it's Brainiac for me. But if you guys have other ideas, I'd like to hear it. Give me something else to think about. Wingray says, I think he said he's getting it started with the first couple, then stepping back, but that could change, of course. Yeah. Hopefully, like I said, though, hopefully that's the way he does it. He jumps it off, gets it going in the direction he wants to go in, and then step away and be an exec, and remember what it was like to be a director and have an executive sticking their fingers all in your ish. So don't do that. Yeah, Brainiac for sure, but he needs a good build up. I'm glad you agree. Anybody say think somebody different? I don't want to see Darkseid. There are other. We're gonna see the lower level villains, of course, with inside of these solo movies. But if we're building up to a big bad, I want to see something different. I don't want to see something that's been done to death. And my take would be Brainiac, and I see Wingrace is agreeing. Angus says Darkseid is their biggest, and they did that in the last movie series. Brainiac done well would be a lot of fun. I agree. Clarence said if they could make Lex Luthor in the shadows pulling the strings in all the movie like Marvel is doing with Fisk, I think it could be good. Of course, he need his own team to take on the Justice League. And then that would introduce us to a Legion of Doom, which if we started to see, and this is just me, of course, spitballing, if we started to see after the Superman movie, because we will begin introduced to Lex Luthor there, if we got solo movies in each one of the solo movies, you have them fighting basically their main foe, the person that is the most attached to that character besides Batman. I don't want to see Batman and Joker. I want to see Batman and someone else. But after each one, when they get their ass whooped by the hero, then you bring in Lex Luthor and be like, look, you tried to do it on your own, but if we get together, it's kind of like making him be a Nick Fury. Yeah, making Lex Luthor the Nick Fury of the Legion of Doom, or whatever they're going to call it in the movies. And then then you have the team up movie where you have to have, and I mean, this is like your first team up, like our Avengers movie had the Chitauri and Loki. Our first team up movie would have Lex Luthor and 2 or 3 other low level villains, and we build up to the big villain who is Brainiac. Wingray says a lot of really fun ideas are multiverse related, but we need to lay off the multiverse with DC for now, please. Heroes versus government, where Lex is president, and I think we should we should work our way up to Lex doing that too, running for president. A reverse Nick Fury, yes sir. Lex shows up on post-credit scenes to recruit villains. Oh, that sounds good to me right now. Justice says they need to take their time like Marvel and build the universe and lead up to the crime syndicate, kind of the evil Justice League. Sounds like a plan. Batman versus Waller, like the classic cartoon did. Oh yeah, I mean, and then they become, at some point they become not really friends, frenemies, like they did in the Justice League cartoons. Yeah, I can see that. They got to do better than Jesse Eisenberg. I'm going to go over here and see who was. I got to see who was cast. Doop 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 doop. Mm. I gotta see who was cast as their. Oh, I'm looking for the movie, y'all. Why y'all playing with me? I can't see. I can't see. And it is not telling me, like right here, Superman Legacy. It's not an origin story. The film focuses on a young version of Superman as a reporter interacting with key characters such as Lois Lane. He goes on a journey to reconcile his Kryptonian heritage with his human family in Smallville, Kansas. Safran describes Superman in the film as the embodiment of truth, justice, and the American way. Okay, where's Lex Luthor? That's who I'm looking for. The man got, God damn it. Excuse my French. Sorry. That was ugly. They're going to introduce. I can't find it. I might have to look. Okay, Lex Luthor in. And if somebody already put it in the comments, I'm sorry, but I got my tab set differently. Superman Legacy. I'm trying to remember who it was. I can't believe I couldn't remember. Nicholas Hoult. Nicholas Hoult. That's who it is. So I'm going to pull up a picture just in case we are unfamiliar with who Nicholas Hoult is. The last place I've seen him was in that movie. What is that movie? It was the movie The Menu. The Menu. And I liked that movie, and I liked him in it. Let's see. Just in case you're not 100% sure who he is. That's Nicholas Hoult. That is our Lex Luthor. I don't know what they're going to do as far as hair and all this, and we're going to keep him with some hair for a little while and then make him go bald or what. But that's our guy. That's who's going to be playing. Yeah, he's Beast. Thank you, Clarence. He's Beast. Yeah. Because Clarence was concerned. He was like, they got to do better than Jesse Eisenberg. So, I don't know. We'll see. Wingray says, yes, in part the league gets stomped, but in part one, the league gets stomped, but in part two, they rally and use the villain's egos and self-centered nature against them. That sounds good. That's a pretty good casting for Lex Luthor. I agree. Man, yeah, rest in peace, Dwayne McDuffie's DC stuff was legend. I was watching, oh gosh, I hate that I can't remember the name of this YouTube channel. But the young man who does that channel had interviews from Dwayne McDuffie, and he was explaining Justice League, the arc in Justice League, the cartoon, Justice League Unlimited, where Lex Luthor had Brainiac. Gosh, we were talking about How in the world did you know without me even saying? How did you know? Because that's got to be the name of the channel. Yes, I think that is it. But he had clips of Dwayne McDuffie going through his stuff, and it really touches me to see him and in his element and his enthusiasm for what it was that he loved. So I appreciated that. But thank you, because now I can write it down. Because I only way I find some of these channels is by, like, I can't remember what the name of them is, and then I'll be like, well, eventually YouTube will serve them up to me again. Let me write it down. confounded Milestone Media. He died young. Yeah, co-founded Milestone Media. He died young. Yes, the good ones go soon. Go too soon. Well, y'all, we got one more topic before I want to step on out of here. Hey, y'all been seeing this ish? The Vince McMahon lawsuit and the shakeup at WWE, which if one third, if even one of the allegations against Vince McMahon in this lawsuit that has been brought against him, if even one of these allegations is true, he has overstayed his usefulness and he's gone anyway, right? Oh, thank you, Clarence. Thanks for the reminder. But oh my goodness. If you haven't, look, just know that the lawsuit was disgusting enough that Vince McMahon just finally just had to resign because, you know, he was kind of taking the focus away from what the WWE was accomplishing, and it now all eyes were on him because of these disgusting allegations. And I've got a link in the show notes, and within that link you will be able to read the entire lawsuit if that is up to if you know, if that's something that you want to do. But let me tell you, it's a tough read. If these allegations are true, like I said, if even one of them is true, it's disgusting. But if all of it is true, oh my gosh, it's horrible, horrible. And I'm glad to see him gone. And like I said, we over on the Discord. If you're not part of the Discord, I'm inviting you to the Discord. Come on over to the Discord. You won't find no link in the show notes, but it's the After the Snap Fam Discord. Look that up and come on and join. Because what we were talking about in the Discord is, or at least I posted it, was how last week was a bad week for old rich white dudes. And this lawsuit, so effing disgusting. And we talked a little earlier today about how money is so corrupting. You start to feel like you own people and you can do anything. And if the allegations are true, Vince McMahon fell into that type of thinking. In fact, he's from the era where that thought process was a little more common. Just disgusting allegations. This did happen to him like 3 years ago. You are 100% correct. But now, and I don't even know, you know, this young lady who put out these allegations this time also put out a series of text messages sent from Vince McMahon's phone to hers. And just some of the things that he even thought about were disgusting. If these allegations are true, if this was not just some old fantasy talk, and this was something that was normal for them as far as kind of, I guess, foreplay in their relationship, if this was stuff that he really wanted her to do, he was disgusting. Very, just, but if you've got the stomach for that type of ish, read the lawsuit. It's 69 pages long, or 67, because 69 would be too ironic now, wouldn't it? It's got to be 67. It might have been 67. He grew the mustache and came back. He's like, yep, whole different person now. Got a mustache. Oh, Justice says he's looked at the whole document of the suit. If true, he might do jail time. I mean, it would be, if true, what this young lady is accusing him of would be akin to what R. Kelly has already been convicted of. And it won't look good. It will not look good at all if any part of it is true. But if all of it is true, it's not just him, it's the John Laurinaitis, and it is who they call WWE superstar, who I am assuming is Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar is the one superstar I know that went to a different medium and made a name for himself in the UFC. Was it a UFC? In the UFC, and then came back to the WWE. And of course, allegations. Again, allegedly, this is what I think on this part, because it just sounds like they have dragged Brock Lesnar into this. Now, Brock Lesnar is not, or the person that I am assuming in the lawsuit is Brock Lesnar, has not been accused of any physical wrongdoing, but he has knowledge about what Vince McMahon allegedly was having this young lady do, which will make him a witness. At the absolute least, he's in this mess as a witness. And then Angus is referring to 83.3 million reasons to not badmouth the lady. Look, this is what I'm saying. Last week, it's again, we're talking about older guys. And this shit was normal for them back in the day, where they could just say and do whatever they want because they got money. And they're finding out that times have changed. And former President Trump is another one. He's been hit with that $83.3 million judgment for his continuous defamation of E. Jean Carroll. And I'm willing to bet that he's going to do it again. The $83.3 million is a lot of money, but he just doesn't seem to have any impulse control. And I'm going to bet that he'll do it again. And if I were her, if he did it again, I would just leave it alone. I wouldn't sue him no more. It will start to look like you are just being litigious for no particular reason. But you would think that $83.3 million would be enough to shut him up, especially when you don't know what that judge, that the judge over in the state court, New York, is going to do to you. Justice says Jim Cornette, Dutch Mantell covered it also, and Stephen P. knew as a lawyer and covered it up. Also, he said her lawyers have a real good case. Look, the doggone the text messages alone. It's like he was telling her in the text messages that we should not talk through text messages. We should only do face-to-face conversations. And then he couldn't even help himself. He had to text her again. It was just horrible stuff. And he's spelling it out implicitly in the text messages, what he wants her to do, what he's had her do, and what his expectations were. And you didn't follow your own advice, dude. I'm not saying that I wanted him to be smart enough to say, hey, we shouldn't talk about this in text messages because somebody could find these text messages. I'm glad he was dumb. This is true, allegedly, but if he was dumb enough to do this, I'm kind of glad that he was that stupid. Because that's the hubris of a person with a lot of money. You think that you can buy your way out of anything, especially the older generation. Even people of my age. Because you look at the situation with Diddy, same situation. Got a lot of money. You think you can get away with murder. You cannot. Not all the time. Some point, the other shoe is going to drop. And Vince McMahon, Donald Trump, what is the other one's name? Cuomo, Andrew Cuomo. We are finding out that these people kind of thought they could get away with anything. They got a little mad with power. And I'm glad that these things are catching up to them. I'm not advertising Minute Maid orange juice, y'all. It's just in my hand, okay, y'all? So you don't have to go out and buy Minute Maid orange juice because I'm holding it up. But anywho, yeah, I'm glad they stupid. I'm glad they were dumb enough to do things in the way that they're doing it. The document was probably 68 pages and they added extra spaces after each period to get it to 69. I mean, it really was. I don't remember how many. I think, but it was somewhere in those upper 60s. I do remember that. McMahon didn't put the toxicity into masculinity. He put the masculinity into toxicity. Ugh. And it was, disgusting. The stuff that he was like, oh gosh. This lawsuit, Marge, is covering just one woman. But in the past, there have been multiple others who have come out and said that Vince McMahon was a piece of crap. Now, I don't know if those were settled. I don't remember how those ended. They settled, and we got to sign these non-disclosures and all of that. This young lady, as far as this lawsuit that we're presently talking about, signed a non-disclosure agreement. But Vince McMahon allegedly was supposed to give her $3 million paid in installments, as far as being kind of hush money, as far as this abuse that she suffered. And then he tried to stiff her. He paid her $1 million and didn't pay her the rest. So that makes the non-disclosure agreement null and void. But the non-disclosure agreement was probably null and void anyway, because you can't use a non-disclosure agreement to cover up a crime. If you have committed a crime, that non-disclosure agreement, especially against the person who has signed a non-disclosure agreement, that can't be enforced. So either way, the young lady signed a non-disclosure agreement that was unenforceable. And now she's talking. Justice said there are also unnamed people in the suit, but the lawyers said they may be named if they go to court. And one of the unnamed people, I believe, is Brock Lesnar. That's where I'm going. But this, again, what I think is not what I know. When we know more, we can talk about a little bit more. But that right there was just an opinion. E. Jean Carroll is a hero. She absolutely is. Because she could have gotten scared and just faded on off into, the shadows. But instead, she faced this man. The first time, he didn't even think he had to show up in court to defend himself. But the second time when he did, and I think that he believed his presence was going to intimidate her, and it didn't. Yeah, she still told her truth. And I think that it was necessary for her to have him there to tell her truth. Now, it's already been found that she was telling the truth. So I'm going to speak about this, and not allegedly. We're going to speak about it that he did sexually assault her. And it might have been more, but that's what the jury saw, was a sexual assault. And he did owe her compensation for the damage that he was doing to her reputation. Okay. Justice says there is talk Triple H and others may be removed from power in WWE. This thing is going to get bigger from the stuff I'm reading. But the thing about it, Triple H and Stephanie, if I remember correctly from the first situation, were against Vince McMahon coming back. And then Vince McMahon weaseled his way back, however, and started replacing the board of directors with people who were more sympathetic to him. So if anything like this were to rear its ugly head again, that he would have the numbers to keep himself from being ousted. But the deal between TKO and WWE makes him a huge liability to the company. I don't know. Again, this is all of the allegedly things, and I think we need to sit with this for a little while and see where things go. I hope that Triple H and Stephanie, if they are not part of this whole if they're not part of this whole conspiracy to cover up his wrongdoings, Vince's wrongdoings, that they can keep their spots in the WWE, because again, they voted against him coming back from the first place. Justin said, I'm a huge wrestling guy. There is so much Vince has done, allegedly. I followed this since it broke 2 years ago. The more I read, because I read about, and I can't remember the WWE female wrestler that he had a script where he requested for her to simulate a sex act, and I don't know on which wrestler or whatever, but she has come out and said she did not want to do that. Her job was literally threatened if she didn't do it, and so she did it. Maybe you know what I'm talking about, Justin. That to me was disgusting enough. When Grace, I was thinking about that earlier today. I was like, I wonder. I don't remember hearing that he was on the Epstein list, but I was like, I wonder how. Like, how is he not on that list? This seems like that would be something that was right up his alley, unless underage girls were not his thing. Unless he just wanted really young women and not underage girls, because the woman that he is alleged to do these things to in this lawsuit is rather young, and she was very naive, and she was very vulnerable at the time that this stuff allegedly happened. She had just lost both of her parents, and she had never worked a day in her life. She needed a job, and she needed one now, and somebody kind of put her on to Vince McMahon, and it started with him just wanting to help her because he heard her story, and I just want to help you, and it moved into grooming. And yeah, I think maybe he's probably like, nah, I draw the line at the underage girls, maybe. Ooh, Wingrace is asking a good question. Is this why The Rock came back to take over like he did the XFL? Because these lawsuits and stuff like this don't come as a surprise. You have some clue that they're coming, especially if the young lady is like, oh, no. You made me sign this NDA. You owe me $2 million, and I'm just going this. I won't come out with this lawsuit if you go ahead and pay me the $2 million that you told me you'd pay me. And he like, oh, hell no, I ain't paying you nothing. And then the next thing you know, you got this 67-page lawsuit, or maybe 69-page lawsuit, where a lot of dirty laundry is being aired. And it's going to end up costing you a whole hell of a lot more than $2 million. Gosh, it already costs more than $2 million. You're done with the WWE. So Justin is saying TKO, who now owns WWE, and are thinking of cleaning house and getting rid of people who were close to him. That makes sense. A whole lot of sense. Because they bring in their own people. Yep. Justin is saying, I know the story about the young lady who was kind of forced into simulating this sex act on a live TV, but he can't remember the name. But Rita Chatterton was a ref back in the day and was attacked by Vince in the 80s. She won a lawsuit last year. Wow. There is a litany of things that I saw, even in that article that I was telling you about, that I do have linked in the show notes, that they were talking about some other women. And I'm like, wow, this man really, really disgusting, if true. I think he's disgusting, whether it's true or not. But if this is true, he's very disgusting. Well, that's 2 hours, y'all. Woo! I felt good. I feel good. We did a whole 2 hours. I am going to try to be consistent, but you guys know I told you guys what I'm dealing with, and I'm gonna deal with it one day at a time. Today I woke up feeling so good today though. So I'm like, shoot. And then y'all had the nerve to give me something to talk about. Let's go. So here we are. Um, love you more, Angus. Love you more. It's been good talking to you. Thank you for being with me. If you're watching this on the rebroadcast, please hit the subscribe button, like the video. If you've been here with me for the whole 2 hours, thank you. It really warms my heart that anybody could hear my grating voice for 2 hours. Do me a favor, hang out with my friend Win Grace on his channel. He puts up content that is very much like my own, but a little more in depth because he puts out videos very regularly to include stuff about the comics and books and other shows besides Star Trek, like we're doing here today, and hang out with my friends discussing Trek, discussing network on YouTube and in podcast form. Do that because I was there last week, y'all. Did you see me? Did you see me? I was there last week. We had a very fantastic conversation about where we think this future of Star Trek is going. So subscribe to them. One last thing. I'm thinking about going to Comic Palooza. Hopefully, I feel really good the way I feel right now because it's in May, it's Memorial Day weekend. I'm trying to think, what can I do for a panel? If you guys have any panel suggestions, send them to me. Join my Discord and put them there, and I'll consider those. Okay. We got to catch up with Clarence when the next Discuss the Trek podcast because I was looking for him yesterday and he didn't do a show. It's usually on Mondays and then they upload them, I think, on Wednesday or Thursday onto their podcast platform. So hopefully we'll see that soon. Especially since I didn't put out many videos until today. But you say you're so regular with yours. I appreciate you for your consistency, reliability. Yeah, I do. I'll do a panel if I'm feeling good. And last time we did one, Clarence came up and did it with me at Comic Palooza. Clarence and Jonathan from Discussing Trek, and it was fun. And I'm thinking about doing it again. But give me panel ideas, and I'm going to try to consider them all. All right, y'all. Clarence says they're going to be live again next week, March. There's our answer. So hang out with us in all of those different places, and I will see you in the next one. Live long and prosper. Peace.